Hello.
Hello.
Hello, most precious blood. I am Father Daniel, the pastor. And with us today on this episode 5 of Signs of Life, in which we explore different ways in which there's vibrancy and life within the parish in Jesus Christ. We're with Nick Verdoni, one of the young adults of the parish, and we're actually in his place of work. Where are we, Nick?
Yes, we are at Tola Leger Coffee Bar, soon to be, actually, it's not released yet, but by the time this releases, more coffee house. And so we are at what used to be the former Augustine Institute location in the Tech Center. The Institute has since moved to St. Louis. They have a beautiful campus there. But we are still here at what used to be their headquarters at the coffee shop that I work at and help manage. So,
what is it like running a coffee shop?
That's a good question. I will say this. At the beginning when I started, I did not necessarily know what I was getting myself into. I barely knew the difference between like a latte and cappuccino and macchiato. But as I've grown into it, it has been a gift. Like there are very few days I feel like work. Most of the days we get to make coffee for our guests and just be with people, encounter people, and love and serve people. And coffee is the means to that. We want to make the best cup of coffee possible, but also like that's just secondary to the encounter with the person in front of us.
Beautiful.
So,
and for most people who don't know, where is this location?
yes, so we are in the Tech Center, technically Greenwood Village location, off of Syracuse.
Do you know the address?
Yes, 6160 South Syracuse Way, Suite 160 for the coffee shop. Come
Great.
up the stairs to the left. Yeah.
Maybe we should do a tour after this for the following week.
Yes.
Anyways, so we're right in the heart of the Denver Tech Center on the west side of the highway, not actually far from, what's the concert venue? Fiddler's Green.
It's like a 2-block walk away.
Nice, yes. When Dave Matthews comes, I park here and then walk over. Don't tell people that. And anyways, we're here, and in part, I was celebrating Mass here. So there's a chapel in the basement of the building. So the Eucharist is present in the heart of the Denver Tech Center, not in the midst of a regular parish, but considering this is a very intense Catholic apostolate, it was seen to benefit from daily Mass, as there's a number of different people here still studying, but also other business owners. Can you tell me kind of where the building has moved?
Yep.
As the Augustine Institute has transitioned to St. Louis? What's become of this property?
Yes, so the Institute still owns the building, but their vision is to make this a center for Catholic businesses and Catholic apostolates. They have invited people to the space to have like a place where businesses can like work together and gather in community and still have, for example, like Mass daily in a space to pray. And so like, yeah, that is the vision of the space, and as more and more contracts get finalized, it'll grow into, I think, something really beautiful that I haven't seen before in any location I've lived, but just like a kind of like a hub for, Catholic-owned businesses and apostolates, and we are the shop that serves all of those businesses and apostolates, but also just all of the guests from the Tech Center, and so we have like made our vision to be outward facing and to invite people into the space.
That's great. What do you see as the value of like marrying your business with a more explicit expression of the faith?
Yes, I think specifically as a coffee shop, it's a very low entry place to encounter people. We don't actually market ourselves as a Catholic coffee shop, so when people come in, they're often just like, well, where am I? But I think, like it is a gift to love and encounter people no matter where they come from, no matter what walks of life. But it's the reason that anything is worth doing is Christ's love, like to have everything rooted in charity. And we're like we have an opportunity to be a very explicit expression of that charity.
Beautiful.
At the shop.
Nice. So throughout this series, we are kind of just exploring either parishioners or people who are associated with Most Precious Blood. That way people get to know the other people beyond the people who sit 2 pews in front of them and 2 pews behind them, at the 9 a.m. Mass or the 10:45 or the 7 or the 4:30. Just this kind of like branching out. That way when they see you, they're like, oh my gosh, you're the kid from that one video. You do coffee. What's your name? Your name again is?
Nick Verdoni.
Nick Verdoni. Great. Why did you decide to, first of all, actually, I was going to ask, why did you decide to register and commit to Most Precious Blood? I'm going to back that up for a second. Why did you decide as a young adult to commit to a parish in general?
Well,
Because young adults just go, I'm eventually going to write an article called Bar Hopping Catholicism as the next iteration from cafeteria Catholicism. Anyways, the younger generation has a hard time just picking a parish, committing to it because of FOMO, because the something's cooler over here and the homilies are cooler over here, and then the Mass is shorter over here, or whatever it is. And why did you decide to first commit to a parish, and then why Most Precious Blood?
So, well, when I first was here in Denver, I did parish hop a little bit, but I think in doing that, you miss out on deeper community because you're like always like searching for something better instead of like realizing like I want to be in this place and like and encounter the people here and have people like know me. Like it is a gift to have people say hi to you after Mass that like know you and care about you. And you don't get that when you parish hop. But also just like I think that the invitations from like you and other priests of like committing to a parish really like hit home of like this is your spiritual family, and just like when family life gets hard, you don't just like hop around and search for other places. You like double down and commit to like the place that like has poured into you, and in return like it demands a gift of self. And so I think that's the short of it is I saw just like how necessary it is to find a spiritual family anchored by two great priests, two great spiritual fathers. And that's part of the reason I ended up at Most Precious Blood. I started going because I had friends that went there. But there are a couple things that stood out. First, you and Father Micah, your availability, your fatherhood, and the steadfastness, it's hard to say, like really like drew me in. But I actually helped out with RCIA. This was about 2 years ago at this point. And then got to like see the beauty of this parish. And it was the people that continued to like draw me in. And it was a place that I wanted to make home. And so I joined in October of 2023, and so coming up on almost my 2-year anniversary. Year, yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's a wonderful thing. I love Most Precious Blood. We're a funky bunch. We're a weird bunch. Sometimes we have like liturgical faux pas, and sometimes we're reaching to new heights of liturgy. We have the Corpus Christi procession coming up. And so we're definitely like a community in transition, a community that's, I would call it, progressing towards just the authentic expression of, one, Vatican II, Jesus' own love himself, and just being a regular parish in the Archdiocese of Denver, who's faith-filled faithful is what I've been praying over recently, that we're the faithful who are filled with faith, and there's all kinds of word plays that we can do with that. But the expression of faith requires doing it together. And you've heard me rail on the young adult community about this, that community is not just like a liberal thing. I don't think it's super helpful to talk about liberal and conservative, but if the notion of community were to get pegged into one of them, it's like, liturgy is conservative and community is liberal, and both. That's just not the case for either, right?
And one thought on that too. So before I joined Most Precious Blood, I was at an apostolate as a missionary with Christ in the City. And for those who don't know, it's an apostolate that serves the homeless, but there's about 30 to 33 of us missionaries that live in community for 1 to 2 years. And that was like the first time I had community that was like anchored. Because like in college, friends come and go. they transfer, and young adult life, people get married and move on. But like for 2 years, like these people were by me through good times and bad, and there was no like hopping somewhere else when things get hard. And I think like that is, I think, part of the reason I believe necessary to find a community that that you commit to is because like that is where like true growth and life happens. And so to be with someone, a person or a community or a spiritual family in good times and bad, like that is the fullness, I think, of Christian life. Yeah, and so that's part of the reason that I saw like the beauty in committing was like I've seen the fruits of living in an established community that is with you through good times and bad, and I wanted to be that for Most Precious Blood, but allow Most Precious Blood to be that for me.
Beautiful.
So.
What do you think you've learned from, we'll call it the older generation, however we want to define the older generation, but we'll say 50 and above, because one of the beautiful things that's happening now in our parish is the generations are starting to come together a little bit more, and there's a little bit more like greeting each other after Mass, and maybe even going into the St. Stephen's Parish Center and having a coffee or donut, and we've got plans up our sleeve of how we'll do hospitality in the future, but even there's starting to be stepping outside of your like immediate friend group. Every generation is starting to do this a little bit at our parish. It's beautiful. What do you think that you are able to learn, appreciate from the generation that would be in the back nine, shall we say?
Yes. Without a doubt, I think the first is it's beautiful to see like a fidelity that to see like so many of these same people here at Mass week in and week out, and just like faithful to like praying the rosary or faithful to just praying for the church. My grandma, she was an organist and at her parish back in Kansas City, but she was there like every weekend, and even like oftentimes during like the daily masses too. And so the church has been through a lot over the past 50 years, and that fidelity, I think, is like a witness that and somebody who's on the early part of their 20s, I guess mid-20s.
Yeah, you're in like hole 3 or 4, I guess.
Hole 3 or 4, yeah. Like it's beautiful to like see that, and like that is, I think that is my prayer for myself, is that like I continue to like grow in this fidelity, and God willing, should I live a long life, become one of those people who week in and week out, day in and day out, is there praying for the church, even as my grandma's mobility like went away and she was more confined to her bed, she's still like that fidelity of praying for the younger generations, like that stands out to me, and the fact that people care, like I think one of the beauties of like merging generations is that people have different opinions and different thoughts, but deep down, even if we disagree on the surface, like I see that you care, and your idea of the vision of the church may be different than mine, but what is not lost on me is that you love Christ and that you want to see His church grow, and I want that to be like the anchoring factor between generations, is like, yeah, we love Christ and there's something that we can learn from each other, and so those are the things that come to mind. Yeah.
And He who is the source of communion gives us the ability to have communion with each other.
Amen.
It's great. Well, thanks for your time today. We'll call it a day, and we'll probably actually get a tour that will air the following week.
Definitely.
And that way they can just see the layout of the place. So thanks so much.
Yes, thank you, Father. Real quick, what are you drinking, Father?
Oh, I'm drinking a mocha. It's very delicious. It's not overly sweet, and most mochas are just like very syrupy, very oily, and very sweet. This is wonderful. So mocha and cortado are my 2 drinks that I go when I go to a new place just to test the new coffee shop. So Tole Legge, becoming More Coffee Shop, More, after St. Thomas More. Little play on words there. So come by anytime, Monday through Friday.
Yep, 7 to 3:30.
7 to 3:30. It's an awesome Catholic hub in the midst of Denver. 11 a.m. Mass, Monday through Friday.
Yes.
Great. Schedule varies, but
yes.
Great.
Come say hi to Jesus regardless. So.
Peace. Shebang.
Here we go.